Burgess here with Music Marketing TV. Today we're taking a look at the PSP Vintage Warmer II. I've got a track here that I produced with a good friend. His name is David Schultz. He's the guitarist on this track. Did a bunch of jam sessions, then chopped it all together and made this track. I'm going to go ahead and go a little bit further in just so we can get to the part where the synth comes in. But we're going to toss this on the guitar track and check out all the cool colors. There's another video that deep dives into the controls and what they do. But this compressor is very popular on the master bus and on just bus channels in general. But I like it on individual things as a color compressor too because of how sensitive the knee and the drive are. And then also, if you've got the Vintage Warmer 2, there's the fat mode down here, which just makes it sound that much more analog. In the manual, it's got the details on what this exactly does, but the Too Long Didn't Read version sounds more analog. That's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and hear this. Let's hear it dry first. So I've got it off right now. So here's the guitar track we'll be working with. All right, so that's the general vibe of what we're going to be doing. There's actually a few different sections in here with very different guitar sims on them, just flying through presets. It was one of those things where we're just kind of having a good time. So we've got some very different sections here. So we're going to be looking perhaps at both of these. So let's go over here back to like the short stuff. And we're going to go ahead and flip this on. So a couple of things you might notice, there's not really a threshold knob anywhere to be seen. Kind of something you're kind of used to seeing on, a lot of compressors where it is the compression start. Instead, it's sort of a mixture of the knee, drive, and speed. So, and there's of course a ceiling control as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just start with the knee very low, and then I'll bring it all the way up and you'll hear kind of what it does. Yeah, so pretty touchy, does a lot. So let's take out the drums here. And these as well. So I'm going to dial it back to around there. Sometimes, especially with stuff that has like echoes on it, the knee all the way up can really bring those out. That might not be something you necessarily want. Yeah. Especially when we start to dial in the drive, right? So I'm going to push this a little hard with the drive. Sometimes the cut's the call. It's really up to you in the color you're going for. We also have some EQ moves here. Let me zero out this high cut here so that it's not doing anything. Yeah, so this is something also, if we come over here to these longer sections, we may want more drive. I don't know. And we also would probably do a bit of a high cut here. So we'll get to that. But for now, I want to dial it in over here, and then I can always automate later if I so desire. Let's bump it up to like +4, just hear that. And now let's take a look at the speed. Now the speed can also have a very big impact on these echoes. Again, I would just use your ears. Now, for the release, if you really want to be specific with the release, you could come in here and sort of tune it to your liking. But by default, you're just given a multiplier of what it's going to do. I tend to put auto on and keep it that way, but every now and then I'll come in and change it up just to see what kind of things I get out of it. But this is going to be fine for what I want here. Coming over here to the low and high, the front part of this has so much height that it's really not that big a deal. I don't think it sticks out too much, but I might go ahead and look down. And in fact, we might even go after the low for this. Do like a, I don't know, 4 dB cut. And let's look at not that low. Let's go for like, probably the highest we could go is 400. So I'm going to look around up there. By the way, these have different settings. I'm in single band mode, and that's how I'm going to leave it for this. But there's also a multi-band mode, which these will instead set where bands occur. But I'm not going to use multi-band mode. I'm just going to keep it in single mode. And we'll turn on the fat, which if I cannot recall, I think it's frequency. Oh, I think it even says it if we hover over it. It's like frequency. No, it doesn't. Authentication technique. I forgot what the T stands for, but I'm pretty sure it's frequency authentication something. But anyways, again, I just sort of translate this to more analog. Just give it a try. If you like it, keep it. If you don't, take it off. It's one of those kinds of things. It's kind of hard to guess exactly what it's going to sound like till you just hear it. Let's go over here to this rockin' bit. So this is something else I also like to do. Sometimes I'll just do, I mean, you do this with regular EQs too. It's not like a new technique. You put a really hard dip or boost and you just float around looking for a spot where you like it. Now, a lot of the times you'll boost, find a harsh region and then take that down. But sometimes it's kind of fun to just go the other way and look for a pocket, just vary it up a little bit. If you're trying to remove harshness though, it's generally a good idea to go looking for it. But instead, I'm just looking for a spot that I think sounds kind of cool. So I'll probably leave a pretty aggressive dip here around, where am I even at? Close to 16K, 13K. I think it sounds pretty nice. Leave the mix in the output. And then there's a couple other cleanup settings down here that you might want to mess with. So again, we've got the fat mode available and I went ahead and went with it. The single multi-band mode, again, I'm just going to go single band. No need for anything crazier. And then there's mono stereo, kind of self-explanatory. And then the stereo linking. If you're unfamiliar, if you apply different compression, if it looks at the two channels completely individually, you might get like way more aggressive compression on one channel than the other if the content's different. If it's mono content, it's not going to matter because it's the same. But in the case of not mono content, if you like stereo mic something or you're dealing with a stereo sample library, it's going to matter. Here, it really doesn't matter because unless there was some differences in the amp sim, but we had a mono input, right? So we could check here and go to the multi-channel view waveform. You can see they're identical. So it's not really that big a deal with this one. I have it on, doesn't really matter in this case. But if you had a stereo mic setup, that could be more significant to you. There's also a couple things up here, just when you're looking at these meters. I'm in the VU mode instead of the peak program mode. So this is a little bit more representative of how we hear. You could dive into the specifics of this. In this case, I'm not too worried because I'm just using this as a color thing. And I'll go in and I'll rebalance it in the mix after in a more focused mixing stage aimed more at levels than sound timbre per se, or, how things sit. I'm looking more here at just getting interesting, cool colors and textures out. I might even automate parts of this to adjust to the specific sections that I think could sound kind of cool. So that's not something you often do with a compressor when you're mixing to sit something in a pocket. But I don't know. Maybe you do it all the time. But I usually keep them kind of as separate processes in my mind. Like there's the creative part and then there's the actual mixing part. But anyways, this is the setting I'll probably run with for a while. I really like it. I like how it came out. Let's go ahead. Let's do a bit before and after. So here it is with it off. Let's look at this first section here. here it is on. Let's go over here to this aggressive section over here. Here it is off. So that gives you a vibe of what's going on. I did my best to get close to gain matching. Here, it's a little bit, the gain match was a bit more disparate than over here, where it was a bit easier to gain match it because everything's just so transient. So it's harder to tell any noticeable level differences. So this might be a better spot to do gain matching in the first place since sound is more sustained. But again, this is stuff I'd worry about a little bit further down the line when I'm just approaching just pure mixing. But I really like the color I got out of this. I think it's really cool. If you have any questions about this, feel free to let me know. If there's anything you'd like to see this compressor specifically do, shoot it down in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video about it. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos, and have a blessed day.